Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, you're listening to Show Talk with Angela Butler. Today the interview is with a writer, from the Daily Press, Mr. Peter Desjardins. He wrote an article about the Hampton City Jail in Hampton, Virginia, where 60-year-old Thomas Cullen, Mr. Thomas Cullen, better known as Benny Wilson Jr., I'm going to interview him about his death and what he knows about it in the article he wrote for the Daily Press. How are you doing, Mr. Desjardins?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing fine. So one of my first questions would be, what happened in the Hampton City Jail that you know about? And do you know of any other deaths that have been there besides Mr. Thomas Cullen? Benny Wilson Jr.
Cullen, Benny, Thomas, Thomas Benny Wilson was a 60-year-old man. He was being held in custody at the Hampton City Jail in September. He had been arrested back earlier this year. He had been arrested on drug possession charges in Hampton, and then he was released on bond in order to come back for some court hearings. He didn't show up for those court hearings, so they went out and arrested him and held him in custody pending the court hearings. And so that was nothing unusual. When you don't show up for jail, they do take you into custody. I mean, when you don't show up for your court hearings, they do take you into custody. But after he had been they arrested him on early September. I think it was September 6th, something like that. And after he had been there for about 10 days, we understand he was being held in isolation, and he was found unresponsive on September 16th in the early morning hours, about 4 a.m., in his jail cell. And it turns out, so they called, the jail staff called medics, called police. They came and tried to revive him, and I guess the jail staff also tried to revive him with CPR, and he died. The cause of death was an ulcer bleed, and he died he was pronounced dead at the scene. So normally the Hampton Sheriff's Office, the entity that oversees the city jail, will tell local media about jail deaths in our local region. I don't know if it's a state law that they have to do that, but they traditionally do notify us. So, so-and-so died, or an adult male died today at the jail, and either it was they give us some information about the death. Sometimes if it's like a hanging, they'll tell us it was self-inflicted or whatever. But in this case, they did not tell us anything about they did not even mention to us about this death. I found out later, about a week later, from my own sources, that this jail death had occurred. And also understand that there was an accreditation process going on around that same time at the jail. So there's suspicions that they were trying to not kind of keep it under wraps because of the accreditation. So I asked, just went through the normal channels and asked for information. I wasn't getting any calls back. I was, the public information officer was not around.
The public information officer was not around?
Yeah, the public information officer was, I guess, on vacation or not working when I tried to call. I called the sheriff, the top person, and she did not return my calls. I called the guy, the major who oversees corrections. He did not return my call. So, that became part of the story as well, is why, the lack of information, the lack of transparency. So there's one thing to have a death, but in addition, they weren't giving any information. So I still don't know. We still don't know a lot of questions, a lot of answers to some questions, including, for example, so this guy was found at 4 a.m. When was the last time that he was seen alive and well in the jail? Normally, under the protocol, the jail guards are supposed to be making checks, rounds around the jail, and they're supposed to be, the protocol is 2 random checks per hour. So every hour they have to see an inmate twice. So, for example, it's not like let's say they don't do like 2:20 and 2:40. They might do 2:07 and 2:52 p.m. Yeah, it's a random interval so that the inmates don't know when you're coming around, so they can't time you. I guess that's the theory of why they do the random checks. But it's supposed to be 2 per hour. And I'm trying to figure out when the last time he was seen, and that's one of the unanswered questions that they haven't told me.
When was the last time he was seen alive, and they haven't told me anything about it? Right.
And then the other question, one of the other big questions I had was he complaining about stomach abdominal pain. I know one of the big symptoms of an ulcer bleed is stomach or abdominal pain. I mean, I don't think that's all the time. Sometimes you can have an ulcer bleed that is not painful, but it is a frequent symptom. So I'm wondering, what was he telling them? Did he have any pain, or did he indicate? They have not responded to that question. They have not responded to my question as to why did you not tell us about this death? And so I've talked to his family. They declined to comment. They might say something later. They're kind of waiting to see what happens. There are 2 investigations going on, one being the Hampton Police Division is investigating the death, and then the Hampton Sheriff's Office is doing an internal investigation.
Okay.
Under Virginia law, it's sometimes murky, sometimes difficult to get those reports, but I'm going to be filing open records requests for those. It's not completed yet, but the family can get those.
Has the state stepped in? Has the state or the family said anything?
Excuse me?
I said, has the state stepped in, the Department of Justice or anyone like that?
No, there is a board a jail. They established this board a few years ago, maybe about 6 or 7 years ago in Virginia, that has to look into all jail deaths, and I'll be calling them as well to see what they can give me. In my experience, they don't give you a lot right up front, but we'll be filing for that. The best bet I've found is to family, because the family is entitled to the jail reports, the death investigation reports, and so in my experience, I got to convince the family to give that to me. So I'm kind of holding back a little bit and waiting for the reports to be concluded, and I'm going to basically urge the family to give me a copy of those reports, and then I can kind of dig into them. That's kind of the easiest way to do it. I think we can get them. I have gotten those reports from the Hampton Sheriff's Office in the past, but
they're not doing it now.
Yeah.
They're not
more difficult. More difficult.
More difficult. You think they messed up on this one? Because I know there are at least 9 other deaths in the Hampton County Jail.
There have been some. The Hampton, I don't know the answer to the question as to they messed up. I have my suspicions that I do have my suspicions because I have heard some things about this but I can't. I don't want to. As a journalist, I don't want to say one way or the other right now because I don't.
Okay, I understand. Well, I'll go ahead and say it. I'm a journalist too, and I think they messed up on this one. I think there have been 9 other deaths. I think that was a total of 10, if I'm not mistaken, 9 or 10 deaths in the Hampton County Jail. You don't know about the other deaths, but I researched it, and there are 9 other deaths. There are case numbers that I have, case numbers that I have, and there's 1 black male, 1 white male, 1 black male, 1 black male, 1 white male, 1 white female, 1 black female, 1 white male, 1 white male. And that's in the case. I have the case numbers and everything, and that's 9 people right there. I don't know if Mr. Thomas Benny Wilson Jr. was included in this 9 that case numbers that I have. But if he isn't included, that's 10 people, and if he is included, that's 9 people that have died in the Hampton City Jail in Hampton, Virginia.
Right.
So something's wrong.
What's that?
Something's wrong. You don't know about the other deaths, but something is wrong.
I know about some of them. The one thing that I'll tell you is that the Hampton Sheriff's Office, and this is not unique to Hampton, but they're really struggling to keep or to have enough adequate number of deputies. A lot of sheriff's office are having manpower shortages. They don't pay that well compared to, let's say, police, or it's not a real high-paying job as a jail deputy. And so I know that they've had some struggles with that. And so I'm not sure if lack of adequate manpower is a factor in any of these, but I'll be looking into that. I do know that the Hampton Jail provides security. The Hampton Sheriff's Office, aside from providing deputies to the Hampton Jail, they also provide deputies, or they also provide security at the Hampton courthouses. And I noticed recently, in the last, I'd say, several months, that they've outsourced for security to a private security firm, which leads me, and they're really not as, honestly, they're not as good as the deputies. I've noticed that we're going through the gates at the courthouse. The deputies, the private security that they've hired, it does not seem as diligent as the deputies did. And I'll be mentioning that to them just for them. And that's an issue but I think that's kind of part and parcel of this issue of not having enough manpower. My suspicion is that they're moving some manpower from the courthouses to the jail to make sure that they have adequate staffing at the jails.
Okay. All right.
Well,
All right. Adequate staff at the jail. You don't think they had adequate? That it may be that they didn't have adequate staff at the jail. Well,
that's just something that I'm throwing out there as, I'm not saying that that's the reason that this guy.
You're not saying that's absolute truth, but it's a possibility.
I know for a fact that they've had issues with recruiting and everything and manpower, and I know that this guy died. I just can't tie the two together right now. But I do know that that's an issue. So it's maybe something that I'm looking at, I'd say.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Well, I thank you for coming on Show Talk with Angela Butler. I know you said you didn't have but 15 minutes, 10 minutes left, so we have about I know it says seconds, but we actually have 10 to 14 minutes left. Is there anything else you would like to add on Mr. Peter DeJarden of the Daily Press in Hampton?
I'd say, there is another jail that across the water in Portsmouth, Virginia, that it's called the Hampton Roads Regional Jail. that has had some issues over the years, and we did some. The Virginian Pilot in the Daily Press did some investigations. I'd say about like 2017, 2018 time frame, and there was ended up being there was some people that were definitely neglected at that jail and died, and the Justice Department ended up doing a big investigation. The U.S. Justice Department did a big investigation into that jail and found a lot of problems, and there was an overhaul in jail's leadership. It was a big news story, and then that was a situation where a lot of the local jails would send, like, for example, Newport News, Hampton, Norfolk, Portsmouth, and some other cities would send inmates to this Hampton Roads Regional Jail, and it was kind of like became notorious because they would kind of send their worst inmates there, or their most difficult, the ones that had difficult health care needs, and or they had sometimes I don't know, it just became a situation where there was a lot of deaths. And that jail ended up closing down just recently, and some people think it kind of stemmed from all the problems that they were having. But
do you think this jail may be closed down because of the 9 or 10 deaths there?
Hampton, no, I don't think so. This is actually the city of Hampton has so this is actually a jail, an annex to the actual city jail. The city jail is actually not even in operation right now. A lot of the inmates are being housed in other cities' jails. And
why are they being housed in other city jails?
The jail has to be renovated because of needs a lot of new systems, new locks, new doors, and it's a multi-million-dollar project to renovate the Hampton City Jail. So they've been housing a lot of inmates in what they call the Hampton Jail Annex. It's just another building of the jail, and then they house a lot of inmates at other facilities. So I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not 100% sure the Hampton City Jail is actually going to reopen again. But there's a lot of problems with housing inmates in other jurisdictions, because a lot of times you're in court and they're like, where's this defendant, John Smith? And they say, oh, he's in this jail that's 3 hours away or whatever, and they only found out before the hearing. And so that's creating some logistical issues. The the deputies have to go out and drive to get them and bring them back, and then when you house people so far away, it's hard for families to visit them, and so they say that creates an issue of justice. You're not really doing any favors to the inmate to house him so far away from his family that they can't get any contact with family or friends and stuff that can come and visit to help them out and give them support. And so, yeah.
Okay, they can't come out and give them support. They can't visit with them. Okay.
Yeah. So that's another problem that they have. But this death occurred at the annex, which is a smaller facility.
This is a smaller facility. Okay. So that does not mean that all 9 or 10 deaths occurred at the Hampton City Jail, Hampton Jail. It could have, some of them could have occurred at Annex. Am I correct?
Exactly. I'm not sure, though. I'm not sure how many. I don't have those same numbers, but I'll have to get those.
I'll send you the case numbers, and I'll send you information to a journalist.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
And then I just think jail should be safer than, or equally as safe as being out of the jail. You shouldn't be in jail and your life be threatened in any way, either by negligence or by another inmate, or, like theoretically a jail, when you're taken into custody, you should be equally as safe as being outside the jail, or even safer. Even safer maybe, because you're being monitored, and so I'll definitely be looking into this Wilson case. I don't know. I just don't think people should be dying of ulcer bleeds while in custody.
I don't think people should be dying of ulcer bleeds either, sir. Inside the jail, I think that they were negligent. I think they might have been negligent in his care while he was in their facility. And
I'm not a medical person, but from what I read about ulcer bleeds, if you get it in time, they can treat them, and you can treat an ulcer bleed if you know about it. And like let's say he was complaining about pain, and they gave him proper treatment, medication, he might have been able to live.
Yeah, he might have been able to live longer without dying from ulcer bleed.
Yep.
I understand what you're saying. I understand. I have gastrointestinal problems, so I understand what ulcer bleeds and things are.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well,
and I know with proper care, you can recover from them. You don't normally die of them if you're under proper care.
Right. That's what I would think, just as a common sense person who doesn't know medicine. I would just think that it's a preventable thing, but
yeah. Do you think the family may sue?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, I would think that if they don't like what they see in the reports, that they would, but I don't know. A lot of times, what happens is it takes a little bit of time to figure out what happened, and then consult an attorney. And they have 2 years from the time of death in Virginia to file a lawsuit. So, I don't think anything's imminent. I don't think they have an attorney right now, but I wouldn't be surprised if. A lot of times, when you have a lawsuit, that actually is what forces information to finally come out. Sometimes something looks suspicious, and once you have a lawsuit, you have discovery, the sharing of documents, and you can put people, you can talk to witnesses and see what really happened. So
yes, sir.
Sometimes a lawsuit is really good for figuring.
Yeah, a lawsuit will help you figure things out, and it helps. It helps information to come out. So lawsuits aren't always bad. It's not always about money either. It helps if you get money. Some type of justice. Sometimes it's the only justice people get is lawsuits.
Right. Sometimes you can make your case as to what you think happened, and sometimes you can disagree with the conclusion of, like, let's say the jail says nothing untoward was done. Sometimes a lawsuit can find otherwise.
Yes, sir.
So.
Well, I hope the family finds out what happened to their loved one, Mr. Thomas Benny Wild Wilson Jr.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Peter DeJarden of the Daily Press. I hope to have you back on Show Talk with Angela Butler.
Thank you so much. I appreciate being on.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good day.
Have a good day.
You too.
So the problem with some people is that they just don't know how to express themselves. If you allow this triple OG to put things in perspective for you, with a little bit of help from my people down in the Midwest, yes sir, that sounds major. Excuse me, little mommy, but I like like to get to know you better. See, you kinda busy, so I guess I'll send a letter. If the letter don't work, then I guess I'll approach it. If you can't socialize, I guess I'll coach you. Cause Jimin is far from the average knucklehead. I don't wanna spend most of my time in bed, but in case I have to get hard, I get hard like lead. And the proof is in the pudding, that's what my mom said.
Baby, I stayed away too long.
And as you did,
Did I leave your mind when I was gone?
You gonna get this right. I just wanna be.
I had to bring Mom in on this one.
Anybody grateful for God's blood?
Tell him about it, Mom.
Oh, the blood that saved me, the blood that raised me, the blood that healed me.
Yes. Listen.
Thank you for the blood.
The blood that saved my life.
Blood that saved my life.
And thank you for the lamb.
Thank you for the lamb.
Oh, the lamb that was sacrificed.
I'm so glad.
I'm so glad that your blood did not let me fall.
I'm so glad that your blood.
Blood. Yes, God.
Oh, that crimson stain.
Thank you, Lord. Come on, let's go to church.
I ain't know what to say, but here I'll just say this. I'm gonna speak about how you make me feel.
Struggling with aggression.
Bada, bada boom, sold.
Huh?
Just sold my car on Carvana. Dropping it off and getting paid today.
Already?
What, you still haven't sold yours? You told me about it months ago. Is the offer good?
Oh, the offer's great.
Don't have another car yet?
I could trade it in for this car I love.
Come on, what are we waiting for?
Ah, you're right.
Let's go.
Whether you're looking to sell your car right now or just whenever feels right, go to Carvana.com and sell your car the convenient way. Terms and conditions apply.